Greetings and welcome to another video. Today I want to address a question that I get quite often during astrology readings, and that is what happens to people who are doing harm to us in our lives, our enemies that are intentionally causing us to go through difficulties, these obstacles that we have in the form of people. And it's also with the people in society at high levels of society that seem to get away with crimes, and they do things that cause restriction and hardship to different groups of people. They commit wars, they commit genocides, yet they still retain their positions in power. And these are really important questions, and I'm not going to address it in the terms of karma, because that's one very important aspect of it is karma, but that's on an individual level. We all have to work on ourselves, on our individual lives. But answering this question, I first want to talk about a story from the Vedas that illustrates how souls and personalities incarnate sometimes into evildoers. But those souls that incarnate into evil personalities in our realm are sometimes highly developed souls. And in the second part, I want to talk about a realization that I had with this kind of understanding, and with the understanding that we live in a cyclical time scale, and that in different periods of time there are different rulers on earth. So this story from the Vedas, it's told in different books, but it has to do with, there are four sons of Brahma, and they go to the highest level of the heavens where God lives, where Vishnu lives. These four young boys are very highly developed souls. They're very pure souls. And they get to the seventh gate, and there are two guards at the gate. And the two guards, having never seen such young boys who are very minimally dressed, the two guards question whether these souls can enter into this highest abode of God, of Vishnu. And that questioning, just questioning the divinity of these four souls, caused the four souls to be taken aback. They couldn't believe they were being denied. And the four souls cursed the two guards. They laid curses on them that they would have to be born again on earth to pay a penance for their mistake of questioning the divinity of these four divine souls. God, as Vishnu, came and he agreed that the curse would take place. And the curse was that, as I said, these two guards had to be born as evildoers. And they had to play the role on earth of the bad guys, so to say. And that part of the curse was that God was going to incarnate into a body and kill these demonic beings, these demonic incarnations, firsthand. And upon death, when they're looking at God upon death, the last thing they think about is God, and that actually purifies their souls. So their punishment was to come down to earth and play the roles of evildoers, even though these two guards of the heavenly gates were already very powerful divine souls, but they made that one mistake. And so these two divine souls incarnated at different parts in the cycle of ages. Their first two incarnations were in the Satya Yuga Golden Age, the second two were in the Treta Yuga Silver Age, and the third incarnation were in the Dvapara Yuga Bronze Age. And one of those six incarnations was Ravana, who was the main evildoer in the story, the Ramayana, who was killed by Rama, who was an incarnation of God. So take this story and really contemplate it, that there is the direct, distinct possibility, as illustrated in this book from the Vedas, that there are people in our realm, in the world that we live in, that do harm, that do evil, that cause destruction, death, pain, and overall causing difficult hardships for everyone on earth, who are actually playing an important role in the drama that we're living in. And I've said this to people before, and I said, can you imagine that, say, pick one of the people that you see in the realms of power now, that you see that guy is an evil guy. Could you imagine that person is actually divine soul? that is a very challenging proposition to put in front of people, because they look at these people, they say, that guy's evil, he's going to go straight to the darkest regions of hell when he's dead. Is that true? Because it's possible that they're playing a very important role in our divine drama, because you can't have all protagonists. There has to be antagonists, and sometimes there needs to be souls that can handle the major responsibilities of doing harm. So why are there situations where where harm has to be done? Well, that's because we need to grow as people. We need to grow, and the best way to grow is through difficulties. And that brings me to my second point. I was sitting in a park 2 years ago in 2021, and I was just reflecting, and at that period of time I was changing cities and changing continents even, and looking for where am I going to actually settle down because of all of the major events that were happening during that period of time. And really thinking, wow, this is really moving my life in a lot of different ways. But I had this distinct feeling that I'm going to improve my life. This is going to lead me in a better direction. And it wouldn't have happened if there wasn't problems being placed onto society, if there wasn't direct restrictions, and they weren't difficult situations that were being placed on all of us at that time. If it wasn't for those things, it wouldn't have pushed me to do something better, to improve and to overcome them. So those challenges push all of us to grow. And so I'm sitting in the park and this thought comes to me, and the thought was, the elite are working for God. And whoever you want to say the elite are in our world, they're working for God. Does that mean they're working for them consciously? I don't believe so. But I believe that their role as so-called evildoers or so-called elite, whatever you want to say that they are, destructive people, what they're doing is they're playing an important role for that each individual soul to find within itself the strength to grow past those things, even if it means intense trials and tribulations. All of those are tests for all of us to grow. And when we have that mentality, it's pushing us in directions that we're supposed to be taking, because we're not going to be able to grow when things are all easy. And so if you look at my series, The Cycle of Ages, you'll see that there's much more, there's periods of time, say the Golden Age, the Silver Age, depending on which part of the cycle we're talking about, when there are different potentialities for people and whether virtue is growing or virtue is descending. And in each of these periods of time, there are different rulers put in place from a divine perspective in order for the necessary lessons to be learned to take place. So people need to learn during this period of time these lessons of hardship. Certain rulers are put into our material realm to emphasize those needs. In other periods of time, there are benevolent rulers or philosopher kings that are there to help people ascend and grow in their sense of virtue through beneficial and harmonious circumstances. In our period of time, during the Kali Yuga and the end of the Kali Yuga, now we're in Dvarpara Yuga, as discussed in my series, we're in the process of ending the rulership of those people at the highest levels of power, where they're working on retaining their power as best as they can, despite the fact that we're growing upwards in virtue. We're on the ascending cycle. So all of the hardships that we're facing in life, all of these major challenges that seem to be growing, and the bad news that comes daily of these failures of the financial system, and different countries experiencing different levels of dictatorships and fascism, and general hardship. All of this is meant to push us inwardly to see, how am I supposed to be improving myself and improving my own awareness that this is all meant to help me. And so, like I said, these people who are playing these roles in society of restriction, that are working on managing controlling humanity as best they can to the detriment of our freedoms as living people, as living human beings that have the right to enjoy our earth in peace and harmony. That's being obstructed by these rulers. And how are we supposed to deal with that? Well, it's for a reason. And when I say that the elite are working for God, it's that evil is necessary to help us grow. And on a higher level, they're all working for the soul to realize itself, for our own individual journey towards self-realization to be performed and to be done through hardships and in harmonious incarnations and situations. So really take that thought that the people that we consider to be evildoers, are they actually playing the role as a divine soul of the evildoer? And pick the person that you think is the most evil. And are they just managing humanity on a certain level? And when they die, are they really going straight to hell? Or are they performing something that's necessary for God to lay out the plan that needs to be the play, if you will, that needs to be lived out as a divine drama here on earth? And all the world's a stage and we are but actors, as Shakespeare put it. So really take that into consideration. And I'm not saying that anyone who does harm is a divine being, because I believe that there are these manager beings, these manager gods, so to say. But then there's other people who really have dark souls that incarnate, and they stray from their path towards doing benefit to society, and they make that free will choice to do devious things in our lives. And this is not to say that or justify that we should accept harm to be done for us. Right? On the contrary, it's a challenge to us. And it's also very interesting to think about that in many prophecies, it's said that the second coming of Jesus, and in the Vedic literature, it's Kalki. He destroys the demons, and upon destroying these demons on the earth at that time, in the future, all of these demons, the demonic presence leaves. But there is this character in the divine play who is the prosecutor, Shatan, or the Jal, Satan. And at the end of Satan's dominion on earth, he's killed by this divine being, the second coming of Jesus, who won't be called Jesus. He has a different name. He has a different responsibility. But he's called Jesus to Christians. But it's God coming as an equalizer, so to say. And in many of the prophecies, the being who's playing this major role of the challenger and the person that's meant to test human beings, he's eventually directly killed by God, by the second incarnation of Jesus, or the incarnation of Vishnu as Kalki. So it's quite interesting to think that in the past, Ravana was killed by Rama, the incarnation of God, and the other incarnations in the various other stories of evil beings, these evil demons, were all also killed by God, but those demons were in fact divine souls. So Satan, being a divine soul in himself, who has the role to challenge humanity, challenge the free will of humanity, is simply playing his role in this drama. So we are never to, in my opinion, we should never be feeling victimized. We should never be feeling that things are being done to us. We have the free will to choose how to improve our lives through these major challenges that are happening to us. And so that's my answer to people that ask about, well, what about the people that do harm and evil in the world? They're going to get theirs at the end of their lives. Well, take a step back. First of all, we're on our own individual journey. And second of all, how do you know what their path and their life is? How do you know their soul's journey? Treat everyone as they are God, because we all are made of the same material. And we don't know whether these people at the highest levels of power, whether they're divine souls or not, it really doesn't matter. They're simply playing their role, and we have to learn how to play our role to the best of our abilities. And that eventually leads to realization, self-realization, that we're all meant to grow towards union with everything around us, that we're all small aspects of the same thing. And there is no need to worry about what other people are doing, whether it's in our own individual lives or what the so-called elite are doing or what the rulers in our world are doing. We need to work on our own individual path and work on our own psychology and helping ourselves help ourselves grow to where we are best situated and take each challenge as an opportunity. And so that's my answer to that question, is what happens to these people that are doing wrong in the world, and how do we deal with them in our own lives? So leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. And thank you for listening. I hope this was of some help to you.